Okay, today we're going to do notes, practice 3 for simplifying algebraic expressions. Okay, we've already kind of gone over algebraic expressions. Remember that you have notes for combining these like terms or simplifying algebraic expressions, going over the variables. I've read through these in the video 1. We're going to remind ourselves for the steps for success. We are going to combine our variables first. We're going to put in our invisible ones. We're going to take the sign before the term. And so here we go. Today we're going to get 4 terms. This is the last practice we're going to do about simplifying algebraic expressions and combining like terms. So here we go. So I am going to go ahead and say, okay, I have 6x and I don't have a sign, so remember that that means that that is positive. And then I have a positive 9x. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to write 6 plus 9 equals, because I said always do the term with the variables first. So I've got 6 plus 9, which gives me 15. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here. It's positive 15h. And then I have and you could circle these. You could do them differently because they're not always going to be lined up nice and pretty like this one is. So I have a positive 8 and a minus 3. And so 8 subtract 3 gives me 5. And it's positive, so I'm going to put plus 5. And that's my answer. It's that simple. So let's try this one. Let's see here. I've got a 3w, and then remember I said to take the sign in front of it. So I've got 3 plus 5. I can do that in my calculator, 3 plus 5, and I would get 8. So I'm going to go ahead and write my 8w. Remember that the variable, the term that has the variable always comes first. Then here, see, now it's a little more complicated because they're all mixed in. So if I have my 2 circles, I have a negative 9. Remember I said you don't do a plus minus, you just do subtract 8. So in my calculator, I can do negative 9, subtract 8, and I'm going to get negative 17. Now remember, you have to keep the sign. We are not going to write plus negative 17 because in algebra, a negative sign and a minus sign are exactly the same thing. So we're just going to write minus 17. The only time we have to specify which one is when we're using this calculator. And the thing about this calculator, it's only when it's out front, that negative sign, that we're going to use this button, that negative button right here. When it's in the middle, we're always going to use the subtract. Okay? So let's try the next one. We've got a plus 4m and a plus 7m. So we've got 4 plus 7. And if I put that in my calculator, 4 plus 7, I get 11. So now I just need to add my m. And then here I have a negative 6. Because it's out front, I'm going to use the negative key. And then here I have subtract 3. So negative 6. So I've pushed the negative sign. Negative 6 minus 3. And I get negative 9. So I'm just going to add my subtract 9 here, and I'm done. All right, we've got 3 more to do together. I've got negative 8c, negative 7c, negative 8 minus 7, and I'm there again. I got to use the negative sign because it's out in front of the term, of the expression, I'm sorry. Negative 8 subtract 7, and I end up with a negative 15. So it's going to be out in front, negative 15c. And then I have a positive 3 and a negative 4. So I'm going to do 3 subtract 4. I'm using the subtract key because it's in the middle. 3 subtract 4, and I get a negative 1. So I'm just going to write minus 1. All right. This is as complicated as it's going to get, I promise. So here I've got a positive 5 and a negative 4s. So I'm going to write 5 subtract 4. 5 subtract 4 gives me 1, and it's positive. So I'm going to write 1s, and then I have a negative 7, because when I write it down here, it's going to be out in front. I'm going to use that negative sign, not the minus sign. Okay? So I've got negative 7 plus 8, and when I do negative 7 plus 8, in my calculator, this thing is bouncing in and out, isn't it? Let me see if I can get it to hold the focus. Okay, let's see if it'll focus lock here. All right. So when I put in negative 7 plus 8 and hit enter, I get 1, don't I? Okay, so I get a positive 1, so I'm going to write plus 1. Now, there's nothing wrong with leaving it that way. The only reason I want you to recognize is, or this could be written as s plus 1. Okay? So I'm going to write it both ways so that you get used to seeing it without the 1. Now, we have to write this one because it's not attached to a variable. Okay? It is a constant. The reason we don't have to write this one is because it's attached to a variable. All right? I know it seems complicated, but that's just the way it is. All right? So here we go. Oh, look at this. I've only got one variable, don't I? I don't have any other variable here. So I can go ahead and just write that down here, negative 5y. Ooh, this time I'm going to have 3 terms that are constants to add together. So I've got a negative 7 plus 3 plus 9, and I can put that in the calculator just like that. I've got negative 7 plus 3 plus 9, and when I add that and I hit enter, I get 5. And it doesn't have a sign, so that means it's positive 5. Okay? So there is that answer right there, simplifying algebraic expressions with more than 3 terms. Now we had 4 terms. And so you're going to do your practice, simplifying algebraic expressions, practice number 3. And you can do that on paper. You can do that in Google Forms. We would prefer that if you have access to the internet, that even if you want to work it on paper, that you then go and enter it in to the Google form. It just makes it a lot easier for everybody involved. Make sure you're writing your name and your teacher's name on all of your papers. We want you to know that we miss you, that we really would love for you to be at school. We would much rather have you here. Please, you can always get a hold of Miss Moon or I. Also, just so you know, I have a Snapchat. It's been a great way for me to be able to take a picture of something if somebody has a question. And so if you want to, please friend me. And that way then I can respond to you, and it's really easy for me to do that. If you are Miss Moon's students, I can certainly do that with you also. It only takes me half a second to snap a picture of a problem worked so that you see how to work it. We really wish you, we've only got 1 more week's worth of assignments to give you, and I'll be making 2 videos for that one. We are trying to make this as simple as possible because we know that you are working at home, but we miss you, and you have a great day, but stay safe. That's the most important thing now, okay? Take care.